group and one is security group. So one is for the group mails and one is for the other one, right?
Okay. So one is M365 group, which we also called
Yeah,
as distribution group,
yeah.
and second is the security group. Absolutely. Okay. So see, once we have the resources, or let's say once we have the users, once we have the groups, the next thing we will try to
Mm-hmm.
do is we will try to assign some roles to the users, and we will try to assign some roles to the groups. Now, depending
Okay.
upon what roles we are going to assign, accordingly they would be able to do day-to-day activity. For example,
Mm-hmm.
let's say there are two types of roles that can be assigned. So one is what we call them as Microsoft Entra ID roles, and one is what we call
Mm-hmm.
them as RBAC roles. Let me put them here.
Mm-hmm.
So one is what we call as Microsoft Entra ID roles, and one is what we call as RBAC roles.
Mm-hmm.
RBAC stands for Role Based Access
Role
Control.
based access. Yeah.
Right? Okay. So let's talk about these roles one by one. See, what is the purpose of Microsoft Entra ID roles? Purpose of Microsoft Entra ID role is to manage the users or to manage the directory. So who would
Mm-hmm.
be able to manage other users? Who would be able to manage the directory? Can be defined with the help of Microsoft Entra ID role. So we can say to
Okay.
manage the users,
Mm-hmm.
or we can say to manage the directory. It can be used.
Okay.
Hundreds and hundreds of Microsoft Entra ID roles are already available. There are so many Microsoft Entra ID roles which are available. Some
Okay.
popular Microsoft Entra ID roles are global admin, right? Password admin, application admin. So these are some popular ones. Hundreds of roles are available.
Mm.
So again, some
Okay.
popular Microsoft Entra ID roles are global admin, password admin, application admin, SharePoint admin. So these are some popular ones.
Yeah.
At what level we can assign them? We can assign them at the Microsoft Entra ID level. At this level, we may assign these roles. Right?
Okay.
See, let's say we have 500 users in Microsoft Entra ID.
Mm-hmm.
Out of those 500 users, maybe to 5 users, I would like to assign the password admin role.
Mm-hmm.
It those 5 users will become the password administrator. It means those 5 users can go to portal.azure.com. They can log in using their credentials, and they
Mm-hmm.
can help the other users in terms of their password reset.
Okay.
Let's say out of 500 users to 3 users, I would like to give a global admin role. Now, global admin, it's a highly privileged role. So,
Mm-hmm.
if we are assigning someone as the global admin role, that person, right, that person can do everything. Means it can
Mm-hmm.
create a new user, it can remove a user, it can assign a license to a user, it can assign the Microsoft Entra ID role to a user, it can add the custom domain name, it can
Mm-hmm.
enable multi-factor authentication. So global admin is someone who can do everything at a directory level. The person has got
Okay.
full access to the directory, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. See, how can we assign them? If we want to assign these Microsoft Entra ID roles, we can simply go to
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft Entra ID.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go to Microsoft Entra ID, right, we can simply go to Manage. Now in Manage, we can see there is something called as Roles and Administrators.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go to Roles and Administrators, so here we would be able to see all the Microsoft Entra ID roles. So as we discussed, hundreds of roles are available. See, there are so many roles which are available. And in front of every role, even their description is given. For example, what this can do, it can limit access to
Yeah.
managed devices in Microsoft Entra ID. Now, let's say I would like to give someone as password admin role. So maybe I can look for password administrator. So here we would be able to see we have got a password admin role. If I want to assign this role, I can do a double click on this role.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can say I would like to make someone as active assignment. Then from here I can do add assignment and I can assign some people this role, right?
Okay. So if there is nothing, then it will be 0.
Yeah, if no role is assigned, it's zero. So let's say now I'm assigning this role, and let's say this is the role we are assigning in directory level to whom we would like to assign. From here we will be selecting the members. It is getting the role ready, and then we will be assigning it from here.
Okay. Yeah,
Right? Let's wait
that's
for
fine.
him.
The thing is, I'm on my another lab office one also, so I'm just checking it along as you was explaining me. I'm
Right.
taking my role on the other screen, so it's quick,
Right. So
easy to
if you
understand.
want to check your role, you can simply go to Microsoft Entra ID,
Yep.
go to users. In users, you would be able to see your user account.
Yep.
Right? Let's say I would like to check the role that is assigned to which all roles are assigned to this particular user. So I can click on this
Mm-hmm.
user. On the left
Mm-hmm.
hand side, now I will see there is something called as assigned roles.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go to assigned roles, here I would be able to see this user has got which all roles. Right?
Okay.
So this user has got application admin role. It has also got cloud application admin role. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I can check it. And if in case I want to assign it, I can assign it from here as well. I can even do add assignment.
Okay.
Right? That's how it can be assigned. Second kind of a rule that we have is we have something called as RBAC rule. So RBAC stands for role-based access control. So what is the
Okay.
purpose of RBAC rule? Purpose of RBAC rule is to manage the resources. So who would be able to manage virtual machines? Who would be able to manage virtual networks? Who would be able to
Mm-hmm.
manage databases? Who would be able to manage applications? Who can manage the entire resource group? Who can manage
Yeah.
the entire subscription? All this can be defined with the help of RBAC rule.
Understood.
Again, hundreds and hundreds of RBAC rules are available. More than
Mm-hmm.
600 RBAC rules are available. But some popular RBAC rules are owner, contributor, and reader. These are some
Mm-hmm.
popular ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, who is owner? Owner is someone who can do everything, including access. Who is contributor? Who can do everything, excluding access, and who is reader? Who has only got the read-only permissions, right?
Okay.
When we talk about RBAC roles, they are further categorized into two parts. One is what we called as job functional roles, and one is what we called as privilege rules. So there
Okay.
are more than 650 RBAC roles are available, out of which there are only five privilege rules. The rest all are the job functional rules. For
Okay.
example, this owner is a privilege role, contributor is a privilege role. Then we have user access administrator. So we have in total five privilege roles. Right?
Hmm. Okay.
Now, at what level we can assign the RBAC role? We may assign the RBAC role at all the levels of the logical architecture. So
Hmm.
in logical architecture, we had management group, then we have subscription, then we have resource group, and then we have resources. So
Mm-hmm.
these are the levels we have in the logical architecture. Right?
Yeah.
And RBAC role is inherent in nature. Means if we will be assigning this at a management group level, it would be inherited down the line.
Yep. Okay.
So this is how it would be. So if we assign this to management group, it will be applicable to that management group. All the subscriptions under that management group, all the resource groups under that management group, and all the resources. If
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to assign this to management group, we can assign this to one subscription. If
Okay.
we don't want to assign this to a subscription level, we can assign this to one resource group, or we may assign this to one particular resource. Right?
Okay.
In most of the conditions, we will find out that we assign this RBAC role at a subscription level,
Mm-hmm.
or at a resource group level, or at a resource level. So mostly we assign on these levels. In
Okay.
very, very few conditions, we will find out that we would be assigning this at a management group level. So
Mm-hmm.
usually we do not provide such high level access to anyone. But if in case we have a business requirement and we would like to assign this to the management group level, we can do it. But usually we don't do that.
Okay.
So as we already know, it is inherent in nature. Okay. So let's say we have two users. We have, let's say, user number one at chicken.com.
Mm-hmm.
We have user number two at chicken.com. So these are the two users that we have. Let's say to user number one, we are giving, so two things are important: which role we are assigning and at what level we are assigning. So let's say
Okay.
to this user, we are giving owner role at a subscription level. So which role we are assigning? Owner role.
Yeah.
At what level we are assigning?
Subscription.
Subscription level. Now, owner is who can do everything. Means inside this subscription, now user one can go to portal.azure.com. It can log in using its credentials and it can do everything. It can create a new resource group. It can delete the existing resource group. It can create a new virtual machine. It can remove a virtual machine. It can create a
Yeah.
new database. It can remove the database. So basically, it can do everything, including access. Including access means if user number one would like to assign a role to user number two, it can even do that.
Okay, so it
If
can do
user
anything,
two,
anything in the sub one and the bottom, anything.
yeah, in sub one, in RG1, RG2, VM1, VNet1, VM2, VNet2, whatever is inside subscription number one, it can do everything on all the levels.
Understood.
And including access. Including access means if user number one would like to give a role to a different user, let's say user number one would like to assign a role to user number two, it can even do that. So it
Okay.
can even assign role to other users. Now, when we will be assigning the owner role to user number one, we
Mm-hmm.
can define that which role it would be able to assign to other users. So one option is we can say it can assign any role to any user, including the privilege roles as well.
So user one can assign, can make user two as owner or
Yeah.
contributor or anything.
Yeah. See, only possible when we say that okay, user number one can assign any role to any user, including the privilege roles.
Okay.
Second option is we can say that okay, this user number one can assign any role, but it would not be able to assign the privilege roles.
Understood.
In that case, it would be able to assign other roles, but owner role, contributor role, it would not be able to assign to other users.
Okay. So
Third, yeah,
sorry, this is
please.
like a particular role already predefined or we have to make it or select it.
These are predefined roles.
Okay.
Right? Third option is we can say that okay, user number one can assign roles to other users, but I am going to define which roles it would be able to assign. So let's say we have a list of more than 600 roles. Out of those 600 roles, I'm selecting 10 roles. And I'm saying these are
Okay.
the 10 roles which user number one would be able to assign to the other users. So in that case, user number one would only be able to assign those roles to the other users.
Okay.
Right? That is how we can define it. Any questions, any queries?
No, we are clear. I'm good.
Okay. The second option that we have is we may say that we don't want to assign this user number one owner access. We would like to give access to user number one, but let's say only on resource group number one. Only on
Okay.
RG1, the user number one will have access. And which access we are giving? Let's say we are giving contributor access. So now
Okay.
user number one will only have access on RG1, and that too user number one will only have contributor access. It can do everything excluding access. Excluding access means user number one would not be able to assign role to any other user. Right?
Understood.
Or third option is maybe we are saying we would like to give access permission to user number one, but let's say we are only giving access on VM number one and that to only reader access. So now user
Okay.
one will only have read access on VM number one. Right?
Okay.
So here as we discussed, two things are important. Which
Yep.
role we are assigning and at what level we are assigning. These two things
Yep.
will be important.
So level is just recapping it. Level means what subscription, what RG or what VM, right?
Absolutely, that is what level is.
Okay.
So how can we assign this role? Let's say if I would like to assign this role at a subscription level, so I can simply go to the subscription. So when we go to the subscription,
Mhm.
let's say on this subscription we would like to assign this role. So when we go to the subscription on the left hand side, we can see there is something called as access control IAM. This IAM stands for Identity Access Management.
Okay.
We can say add the role assignment,
Mhm.
right? So we are now giving the role assignment. At what level we are giving the role assignment? We are giving the role assignment at a subscription level. At a subscription level, we are giving the role assignment. Now we have two types of roles:
Okay.
job functional roles and privilege roles. So if I scroll down, I hope we can see there are more than 642 job
Yep.
functional roles are there, right?
Okay.
Then we have some privilege roles. We have five privilege roles. So we have owner, grant full access to manage all resources, including ability to assign roles in RBAC, contributor, user access administrator, role-based access control administrator, and access review operator. These are five privilege roles. So let's
Okay.
say I am giving someone owner role. At what level I am giving owner role? At a subscription level. I can say next. To
Mhm.
whom I like to assign the role, I can say select members. Let's say I am assigning this role on a test user one, on this user, right? So I'm giving this person the owner role. What roles it would be able to assign to other person? So do I want to allow that this user can assign any role, including
Mhm.
the privilege roles to the other users? Or this user would be able to assign all the roles but would not be able to assign the privilege roles?
Yep.
Or maybe this user can only assign those roles that we would like to allow. So from
Okay.
here we can allow those roles, right?
Mhm.
Let's say for now I'm saying that I would like to give it the owner role and it can assign any role to any other user. So now if I click on review and assign, this test user one will become the owner of the entire subscription. Test user one will become the owner of the entire subscription.
Okay.
Let's say we want to give access permission to user number one, but we do not want to provide access permission on the entire subscription level. We want to give access, but let's say only on RG1. So we can go to the resource group where we would like to give access. Let's say we would like to give access only on this resource group. So we can go to this resource group. In this resource group, we can go to access control, IAM, right? In this access control IAM, we can say add the role assignment.
Mhm.
So again, what we are doing, we are assigning a role, but this time we are assigning a role only at a particular resource group. The person will only have access to this resource group.
Okay.
Right? Or same thing, let's say we want to give access, but only on a particular machine. So you can go to virtual machine and you can give access onto a virtual machine. Right?
Okay.
Any questions, any queries, anything so far?
And no, no, bye. We are good.
Okay. Now we have three special type of roles. Apart from this RBAC roles, we have three special type of roles. So we have something called as account admin, something called as service admin, and
Mm-hmm.
something called as co-admin. Okay. See, how do we start the journey? Let's say we start the journey by creating the Azure account. Let's say that's my Azure account.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say v-2 gisi at outlook.com is my Azure account.
Yeah.
So when we were traditionally creating the Azure account, what we were getting a default
Domain
directory
directory.
and a domain.
Yeah.
So v2 gisi outlook.com microsoft.com will be my domain. So in this diagram, as of now, we have got no subscription. We do not have any subscription as of now.